Hello there, and welcome to a Space Engineer Showcase episode. Episodes where I showcase some of the ships or bases or things like that I've made. In this episode, I'm going to have a look at the Hound Class patrol ship that I've created, and also look at it as it evolved from its initial concept right up until when, obviously, I've finalised the design and ironed out a few kinks. Now, this particular version is the prototype. It's all in white. This is not the chosen colour scheme. It's just I like to make the prototypes in white because I just do. As you can see, its armaments are on the front on the prototype. It's got 4 rocket pod launchers, 4 missile launchers, and 2 Gatling guns. It's also got 6 sideways rocket launchers on this particular version. It's all hooked up with conveyor systems. There's a collector in the bottom for rearming and things like that. It's got 2 large side thrusters, and I can get my words out. And it's also got a top large thruster and a large thruster on the bottom for up and down maneuverability. Engine wise, on the back it's got 2 large thrusters and 2 small thrusters, and on the front we have a how many? 6 in total, 2 on the side there and 4 there. It's all made out of heavy armor blocks. And this is essentially a straight out warship, originally designed because me and a friend decided that we wanted to have a duel. I didn't have a warship at the time, so I slapped this thing together. On the inside, it's very basic and very bare minimum. Essentially, the idea for this ship is a submarine, so it's just basically cold steel and nothing else. As you can see, we've got all the conveyor system which lead to the large reactor which is in the rear. Just go in there. Large reactor in the rear. You can see not much in the way of armor plating. It's got a single cockpit and a small cargo container, 1 gravity generator, and a few gyroscopes. Now, we'll just dive in into the cockpit to start off with. Now, the original concept for this was the Gatling guns would always be set to just target missiles for protection, and the missile launchers will be targeted enemy ships. And the way the rocket pods work is essentially you've got the forward fire and you've got the sideways fire. The sideways fire can be used for broadsides, and also it's not a concept that I've tested, so I may be wrong, but I also figured that maybe because other weapons target missiles, sideward fire and rockets would work as a effective chaff system, such as like you see on a C-130 gunship, planes of that ilk. Now, the main problems with this particular model was its speed. As you can see, the speed, it accelerates at an extremely slow pace. It takes forever to get anywhere. It takes forever to slow down, and it also maneuvers like a brick tied to a lead weight, welded to an anvil, and then bolted to the floor. It's just not very maneuverable for the size of the ship is. I mean, this, in comparison to a lot of ships, is actually quite small, which was its purpose. It's a patrol ship. Also, another problem that I noted, and this seem to have noticed, is when you fire all the weapons at once. Well, that's just actually proved the point of it does target missiles. Let's turn that off. Turn Turn the guns off. Off. Thank you. It seemed to cause damage round the sideward missile pod. Now this might be because I'm clumsy and have a habit of crashing things, but it did seem to damage it, and also it's very inefficient in the way of armour. I mean, it's good for firing off lots of missiles, but you're wasting ammo left, right and centre, and as it stands at the minute, because you can't group the rocket pods together, I have no control on what I fire apart from you know, if I just do one at a time sort of thing, which is not very efficient at all. So overall, I loved the shape and the design of the ship, but it did need some improvements. So I'll very quickly cut to the Mark 1 version of this. Okay then, so this is the Hound Mark 1. This is a tried and tested version of the Hound, which I took on my friend Mark from sci-fi-ideas.com. This is in its actual proper CDF livery. CDF stands for the Crimson Defence Fleet, which is my little empire, the Crimson Empire, which we'll go over more on that in later episodes. It's in red and black colour-wise, so that's one of the most noticeable differences. As you can see on this particular version, the Mark 1, I dumped the sideward launchers. I didn't change anything to do with the engines or the manoeuvrability, which turned out to be a slight error at the end. But what I did do, in lieu of changing these out, I added more storage in, because originally it only had the one storage compartment. As we decided to do our little fight in survival mode, basically one cargo container, or the original plan was to do it in survival mode anyway, one cargo container wouldn't be enough to carry all the ammo, as in survival mode these, and realistic, these only carry 15,000 litres, which is only 250 missiles, and I believe I've got a cargo container with some machine gun, 925 roughly, maybe 930, 935 machine gun rounds. So I added, I think, 26 containers in total, which meant that obviously it can carry more ammunition, uranium, as well as machine gun rounds and missiles, that type of thing. Interior design, exactly the same amount of gyroscopes and things like that. Now, I had no idea what type of ship Mark was going to be piloting, so I was basically going in blind. Now, initially when I saw his ship, which was about 3 times the size of my ship, both in length, height and girth, I thought he'd be over it in a matter of seconds. And he also had a lot more armaments than me, basically twice the amount, and a hell of a lot more Gatling guns than me as well. But initially I managed to get some good hits on him. Neither of the ships were fully destroyed, although I did lose most of my engines, all my weapons, and the front end looked like a dog had grabbed hold of it and just chewed it to bits. So I was surprised and happy with the design. It works quite well, but from the battle itself, which if you are designing warships and things like that, I would always advise battle your friends, because then you can really find out its strengths and weaknesses. This particular one, as mentioned in the prototype, it was far too slow, and it wasn't manoeuvrable enough. So this one essentially got scrapped, or put in the Hall of Fame. It's an older model now. So now we're going to jump onto the final version, the Mark II, So a very quick cut. Okay, so as you can see, what I've done here is I've lined up the Mark II and the Mark I. This particular model is named the CDF Valiant, as this is a copy of the version I used to take on Mark, and I pasted it in and repaired it because it fought so valiantly, and I do like to get attached to my ships like that. So as you can see, moving swiftly on, the engine setup on this, lots of armour there, not many engines. Less armour, more engines, makes it a bit more faster. It's not as stout as the other one, it is a little bit longer, which I think personally for me it does take away a little bit from the design, but it's more practical, it's more fit for purpose in that particular way. The doors have been moved down from where they originally were, which is that black square there, to this point here. That's because all the armour around the reactor has now been pretty much doubled up, because even though the reactor didn't get hit and explode, it was exposed through this little side vent here, where the door used to be. So that's all been reinforced. Inside we now have a massive amount of gyroscopes to add to its manoeuvrability, and also more armour around the cockpit. And both on the Mark I and the Mark II I added beacons, which when I'm fighting I'd actually turn the beacons off, for the simple fact that well, because I don't like to announce to my enemy exactly where my ship was, and Mark did find it a little bit frustrating because he couldn't gauge the distance, because all he could see is my nameplate, and your nameplate doesn't show a distance from the enemy's ship, which is pretty good. So what we'll do is I'll quickly show you its manoeuvrability aspects. As you can see, it's already a lot more manoeuvrable on its axes due to the massive amount of gyroscopes, and even though it's not the fastest ship in the galaxy, it is faster than the original version. It does soon get up into the double figures speed wise, making it more effective in the event of, say, you have to run someone down, or you have to run away, which sometimes does happen, or you have to keep up with other ships. So that's overall the Hound Mark II, my little patrol ship stroke escort ship. I will be putting these up on the workshop eventually, but I'll be putting them up as part of a pack in a base that I'm currently making, which is going to have all sorts of goodies, which I'll cover in videos in the future. But until that point, and until next time, I've been Captain Jack Gumption. Thanks for watching, and take care of yourselves. Goodbye.